Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Soul Goals. Just cracking ourselves up right here before we
Yes.
ever hit the record, as we talked for what, like 25 minutes or
Oh,
so.
yeah. We were solving the world's problems. It's a shame that everybody can't hear that, right?
Right? Why didn't I hit the record
Get privy
earlier?
to that, right?
Seriously. Seriously. This
Be
is week number 51. Week number
privy. That's the right
51.
word, right? Be privy to that
Oh, people
conversation.
be privy to conversation. Yes, that's
That's
correct.
the right word, right? Okay.
Yes.
I doubted myself, and then I thought this is going to go out in the interwebs, and I said something weird, but it was okay.
You were appropriate. You said the right word. At
No,
least that's what I think. Privy.
right. Yeah, I think
People are
that,
privy
yeah.
to our conversation. But
Carry on.
unbeknownst, we'll carry it on. But with a little sidebar, unbeknownst, you will be a guest on the podcast in the upcoming weeks for year number
Yes.
3 for one of our wonderful subjects called parenthood, where Dixie's going to share all the deets about parenthood, from having the baby to 25, 26, 27-year-olds, adult children. So stay tuned for that one. That's in year number 3 and coming up
Yes, I'm
in
excited. Yeah.
in the next month. Yeah. So as we're wrapping up this, we're still looking forward to the next version. But I wanted to do week number 51 as another run it back again. We're calling it run it back again. But this time, like last week, we talked about the things we did not like the stuff, the exercises we did that we were totally like, bleh, not my jam, didn't work, didn't like it, wasn't successful at it, and the why behind why we didn't like it, why we weren't successful, all the things, we kind of broke that down. But this week, I love it. This is our favorite
Yay.
Yay. It was, you get a favorite.
Yeah, right.
You get a favorite. Yeah.
Everybody gets a favorite.
Yeah.
Love
Tell me, Dixie,
it.
what was some favorites for you this year, or a favorite maybe?
So, well, I had a couple, but I would probably say my top one was leaving all the Post-it notes in random places.
Are you serious?
Or
That was mine too.
was it? Oh,
Yes.
that's awesome. I loved that because it felt like sneaky, but in a good way. And then
Right.
I was kind of thinking about, you know, when you find that, like how the person felt when they saw it. Because I know when I find random things, it's typically I need to find the random thing.
Yeah.
And so I was listening to a Mel Robbins podcast years ago, and she said that she started looking for hearts everywhere she went. She just
Hmm.
decided, and so reticular activation. If you see something once, you'll start noticing it over and over. Or like
Yes.
you buy a car that you've never seen on the highway, suddenly you see every car like the one
Correct.
you bought. And so she sees randomly, like innate, it could be a leaf that's shaped like a heart or a rock or something like that. And so
Aw.
she says when she sees it, she know that's meaningful or whatever. And so it kind of reminds me of that. Like when you see a
Mhm.
random post that's encouraging and
Yep.
then makes you feel some type of way, you're like, oh, I really needed that today. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I needed the randomness of that.
Mhm.
And that just takes into consideration the fact that I don't think anything is by accident. You
No,
know,
no, I don't either.
I did have a friend one time say, sometimes a ham sandwich is just a ham sandwich.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's nothing to it, right? And I understand that, and I try to keep reality,
Yeah.
like keep my reality there box checked, basically. But I
Mhm.
do say there are definitely times when I'm struggling and I go looking for that sign, or I'm asking for, just give me a sign, and something just pops up. And that was literally my favorite week, the post up week, where we put the
Yes.
post-it notes. And I'm still carrying a Sharpie and a thing of sticky notes in my car. And I
Oh, I
still,
love it. I should do that. I should carry, I think I said I was gonna and I didn't, but I should. But that was so fun because I remember being at a restaurant and going to the restroom and then being like, "Ooh, wait." And so I put one on the mirror and then one on the door, and like I think it said something about I can't remember what it said, but then the one out the going out the door was like, "Yes, you're amazing," or something.
oh, I love
And
it.
so that's so fun. And I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
y'all had you and I think your youngest daughter were doing stuff, or and you had a blast with that. That's
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. It's amazing. The fun thing for me was like it's like you can get away with it. Like,
Right.
like we were saying, like, it feels kind of like, ooh, I'm not supposed to, but yes, I need to.
Yeah.
And I just really, during that week, I really let myself, like, I wasn't carrying a list in my head of what I needed to write. I would pull up someplace and I would just, if I'm sitting at a stoplight, I'd be thinking about it. Or if I went to get gas, I would think about it. Or I went to the grocery store, I would think about it. Or if I would see something, it would just spark, like, this is what this invokes in me. And
Yeah.
this is what I think other people may need to hear. And I'm
Mhm.
going to trust that the message reaches the right person. And I'm
Yeah.
going to release any kind of strings about what that looks like, how they may take it. Some people are not in the space to receive like a positive message. You know, I know, like me, plenty of times. You ask my husband, he tries, you know, like if I'm in a bad way, he's trying. And there's sometimes you're like, man, you just got to turn that, you just got to turn that switch down or turn that volume button down for a minute, because I just got to sit with my stuff and just be with it. And I can honor
Mhm.
that. I can understand that. But I do think the randomness of finding something like that is so, there's no accident about it. It's very
Mm-mm.
synchronistic. And what is, they call it, is it 6 degrees of separation, how we're all tied together?
Oh,
And what,
yeah. Yeah.
like you
That's
can kind of tie that into it as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't they wasn't there something sometime too that said we can all find a tie back to Kevin Bacon? Was that right? Did you
Oh
see
my God. Yes.
that's part of that 6 degrees of separation that we can all find where we know are related to Kevin Bacon. That's funny.
You're not wrong.
I
And
know, right?
I'm gonna look that up. Should I look that up while we're on the phone?
Yeah, right.
How are we let me pull
Yes.
up Chat
That's so
GPT.
funny. But I think too it's fun to I think it's fun to leave stuff like that because while you're looking up Kevin Bacon, it's really hard to remain in a bad headspace when you're constantly thinking about how you can brighten somebody's day. And it
Yes.
doesn't have to be that deep, but it's really hard to be negative when all you're thinking about is, ooh, where can I leave this note here to encourage somebody? What am I going to say? None of
Mhm.
that. So it was really hard that week for me to focus on anything other than like positive and passing on encouragement. And
Yeah.
so it made me in a really great headspace the whole week
Yeah.
too.
I think that's really, really, I mean, I love that whole idea, because can they all exist in the same component? Can they all exist in the same box? And I think we've had that conversation before
Mhm.
about gratitude and despair or negativity, or
Negativity,
yeah,
yeah.
can they exist in the same space? I mean, I don't think they can.
No, I don't think they can either.
You know, but I mean, there are probably people that will listen to this and watch this and be like, oh, but they can, because I can feel like, and I can understand that. Like, I can feel grateful that my kid is at college and she's thriving, but I can also feel negative about the fact that I really miss her and I really want our time back. But I don't, you know, so if you want to
Which
exist in
which
those,
is really not a negative. It's a fruit of something really cool. It's grief, but you know, so then if
great
you look
point.
at it that way, but it's I had somebody one time at work, um, one time like in the recent past,
Okay.
tell me that it was, um, it is possible to be too positive, and I was like,
Mm,
I said, respectfully, I disagree.
yeah.
And and he was like, "No, I mean, you can be too positive." And I said, "No, I don't believe so." I said, "Because negativity will kill whatever it's around every
Mhm.
single time."
Yeah.
And I said, "But to choose optimism and to choose to be positive, like, builds, it
Mhm.
doesn't tear down." So
Yeah. It's a choice.
I don't think you can build too much or have, too much of a bright side. I mean,
Right.
as long as I mean, sure, people's heads can be in the clouds and you can be like not in reality, and that's not what I'm talking about. But it was months later, this same coworker said to me, he said, "I need to apologize to you because that
Oh,
was really
wow.
rude of me to say back then." And I said, "Well," I said, "I appreciate it so much." And I said, "But," I said, "I think when I first came here, and I think sometimes people were under the impression that, I just pooped sunshine and rainbows all the time."
Right?
And I said,
Yeah.
"I don't." I said, "I have
Yeah.
real life. I have real things.
Mhm.
I get mad. I get
Mhm.
frustrated." And I said, "But my choice is
There you go.
positivity." And I
Yeah.
said, "Because negativity comes natural.
Yeah.
I don't have to try to complain or be negative,
Right.
but I do have to choose gratitude and I have to choose to be positive, and it's a choice, and we
Yeah.
all have it, you know? And
Sometimes that choice is harder than other times. Like, sometimes you are
100%,
so
yeah.
mired in your stuff that
Mhm,
making a choice is so difficult, and that's where I love where you said this earlier this year about 1%. If we're just 1%
mhm,
better, and, like, it just 1% more light
mhm.
gives a shift. That's it. That's even a shift. It doesn't have to be 90% different. It doesn't have to be like, I'm going to choose this every day this week without end. And if I don't, then I'm not successful and I suck and all the bad things.
Yeah,
You're giving yourself just a space to be, okay, I can do just a little bit. And that's a positive. That's a
yeah,
choice, you know,
yeah,
and I agree with you wholeheartedly that positivity is a choice. I think it's the people that would argue with that at this point would say, I think we could argue back that it's depending upon the experience that you're mired in at the time. That
yeah,
sometimes that choice can be 1%, sometimes it could be 50%.
mhm.
But
The
we all
choice is yeah, it's sometimes it's easier than others.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's
Yeah,
easy, sometimes it's like, ugh, it's like walking through mud sometimes to find, the bright side, but
yeah. And I
yeah.
had a friend too that I used to say, "How?" And this was when I was in some really dark kind of
Mhm,
doo-doo kind of stuff, right? With
mhm,
therapy. And I was like, "How can you be so positive when I know your experience and your trauma? How are
mhm.
you doing that? Like, are you just not processing your stuff? Are you shoving it down and just acting like you talk about the reality, right? Are you just
Right,
ignoring your reality?" And her point was that, "No, I'm accepting my reality.
mhm,
Accepting my reality. I have
yeah,
choice. That's my reality.
mhm,
I can choose to stay in it, or I can choose to use the tools that my healthcare professional has guided me through and my small group has guided me through to give me a better perspective and to
mhm.
shift my thoughts even that little bit to help me get through my day."
Oh,
And I
yeah.
was like, "Okay,
It's
yeah,
because what are you watering? Like, the seeds that happen get planted over, you know, experiences or trauma or whatever, like, which ones are we watering and which ones are we uprooting? And we get to decide that, but it's
totally."
none of it's easy. I don't say that to be like, it sounds really, it's like we said last week, it sounds really simple, but it's just not
Mhm.
easy at all.
No, not at all.
So,
Let me read to you about Kevin Bacon.
oh, yes.
It's the you probably this is Chat GPT right off the board right here. You're probably referencing the idea of 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, which is a fun culture theory that any actor can be connected to Kevin Bacon through 6 or fewer film, TV roles. But let's unpack it a little bit more. Inspired in the 1990s, 6 degrees of separation, which suggests that any two people on Earth are only 6 or fewer social connections apart.
That's
That's
very interesting.
yeah.
We're
So
all
how are
connected.
we all related to Kevin Bacon? It just I mean, we could go down a rabbit hole.
I know,
Let's
right? And
let's
that's how rumors get started. It's like, "Oh, yeah, we're all related to Kevin Bacon."
we've just done our due diligence and
Right?
starting that one right there. There you go,
Yeah,
kids.
but here again, we're all connected somehow.
Totally,
That's
totally. Well, another one of my really favorites that I liked, and this was kind of goofy. It took me a little bit to kind of like it, but I started doing it regularly after we did it that week was the grounding, like specifically
oh,
barefoot.
I've kept doing it too. Yes.
I mean, do you
Anytime I'm
feel better?
yes, anytime I'm stressed out, um, I, have gone outside and just kicked my flip-flops off and gotten in the grass.
Yeah.
I'm so
Yes.
glad you said that. I forgot about that one, but I still do
Yes.
that too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a big deal for me because when I feel anxiety where I feel it in my body is that it rises and I
Mhm,
feel like my head is like on this swivel and it's this big like tilt-a-whirl at the county fair. It's like,
mhm,
I'm just caught all up in my headspace. And for me, what that does is it pulls me out of my body, if that makes any
mhm,
sense. And I'm
mhm,
kind of up here instead of like grounding and kind of being
mhm.
in my shell, if you will.
Yeah.
And part of that too, I think, is like if you've experienced trauma, which all of us listening and watching have experienced trauma. I don't care what you want to say. It could be this big, it could be this big, doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah.
But when we experience that, a lot of times we detach from our bodies, like we detach from our existence to not feel it or
Mhm.
for self protection mode.
Oh,
And
yeah.
straight out of my therapist's mouth from every session that we
Mhm.
ever talked about. And for me, when I get that anxious thought and I get that spin up in my head and I lose kind of my faculties of being grounded,
Mhm.
it absolutely, I mean, it takes me 60 seconds to feel almost like I'm just coming back into myself again.
Yeah. Yeah. I do that too. For me, I feel very like through my chest, I feel very frantic when I
Mm,
get anxious about something. And this has only come up for me like in the last probably 5.5 years. Um,
okay.
that feeling. And I'll notice if I'm feeling that and I'm in a position where I can go, get in the grass or whatever, if
Mhm.
I watch my feet like walking, um, and then it's like suddenly I start settling down and then I start just rehearsing what I'm thankful for. And it's
Right.
like, okay, then now I'm okay. Now I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm good.
It's
Okay.
mindfulness.
Yeah.
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 And it's practicing that mindfulness. So, I mean, you could take grounding a step further and we could even talk about the week that we did. Well, we did a lot of different weeks about like, I feel like this whole year was kind of mindfulness
I
centered,
think so. Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
but if you think about the different things along the way that may have targeted you more than another, where that mindfulness is concerned, I think that's a huge thing that brings us back to ourself and brings us back into balance, maybe,
Mhm.
where we can then kind of see our anxiety and our apprehension and our upheaval, maybe with a different set of eyes,
Mhm.
maybe with
What
a
was
different
the
question.
one what was the one that where we journaled something? What we wrote down something maybe
Will
in
bubble up. If
maybe
this, then this.
yes.
Yeah.
So, not necessarily one of my favorites because it didn't like it was something I had to really work towards,
Yeah.
but it did um, cause me to like in the morning times when I'm having um, like just some quiet time, some downtime before the hustle of my day,
Mhm.
I've started journaling about what I'm expecting to come ahead, like what I'm thankful for from yesterday and what I'm thankful for this morning
Yeah.
and what the day looks like.
Yeah.
And that's really helped me a lot too.
Yeah.
That was birthed out of that exercise.
Yeah. It's the if this, then this.
Yeah.
And another thing, Ben Bergeron was, I remember one of those, why can't I say when it was a CompTrain podcast.
hmm
Uh, those are so great. I know if you're not a CrossFitter, it doesn't really matter because there's so many different episodes that are not specifically adhering just to CrossFit and exercise. It's kind of life as a whole. One tidbit that he talked about with the athletes that he trained was that they would rehearse for the worst case scenario,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember
and
that.
and the guy that was interviewing him was like, that does that make sense? Because like we want to visualize the positive. We want to see the outcome as being productive. And like, how does visualizing and preparing in that way really not put that in their DNA and in their brain that, oh my God, I'm going to fail. And this is what
Mhm,
that's going to look like. And he was like, it equips them with a whole other set of faculties to go, I'm prepared if I don't get a great rope climb or if I don't get my footing the right way, I know that I have this in my back pocket. I
mhm.
don't stress as much and I can go, I got it. Pull
Yeah,
out this card. Here we go. So
yeah.
you've got that. It's almost like you've got that pre-planning done. Now
Yeah, you
that's
have
in
solutions
school.
already before the problems happen. You've already figured out the solution. I
Yeah.
think years ago, man, he said, about, he talked about complaining. And
Mhm.
I don't know if you remember, like he said, there's a difference between complaining and then figuring out for the worst case. Because if
Mhm.
somebody says it's cold out here, well, there's nothing we can do about the fact that it's cold out here. So now you're just complaining.
Yeah.
So if you're going to say something out loud about a condition, it has to be something we can find a solution to.
Yes.
Otherwise, you just deal.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing that and going, huh, that's so true. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would, and so that's something I've never forgotten that I heard. Gosh, that was probably 10 years ago.
Well, I love that because it's very relatable. It applies to all of us on some level and in whatever capacity you want to call that,
Yeah.
because and it goes right back to what we were just talking about
Mhm.
choice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We have choice. And I
Yep.
think if like this whole year, we've had choice to do these things, we've had choice not to do these things, we've had choice to dive into them, we've had choice to run away from them, we've
Right.
had choice to
Oh
start
yeah.
it and not finish it because
Right.
right here, there's it's and I think part of that whole process is
Mhm.
allowing ourselves to be human and allowing ourselves to have enough grace to understand that not everything is this linear line. It's always going to be these up and down
Mhm.
situations, and it's how we adapt to the ups as well as the low points and what we can find to help bring us back into that homeostasis kind of place
Yeah.
where we all like to exist, but
Mhm.
that we don't always exist in.
Right,
Yeah.
because there is a whole world going on around us that we don't have control over. So,
Oh my God.
if
Right.
only, I mean, the
Right.
control freak that I am, if only I could control everything.
Dixie, now let's just talk. For the first 25 minutes before we started talking and recording this podcast episode, the control freak Dawn was just jawing your ears off about all the things that I couldn't control. And I said, yeah, I will put my check in the mail to therapist Dixie after this is done.
No.
So yeah, we all need that sounding board. So thank you for always being my
Yes,
sounding board this year.
of
It's been
course. It
amazing.
has been fun. It's been so fun. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I've loved this journey with you. And I'm so sorry that you've had such issues that you've been going through life. Life has been
Mhm.
life in for you for the last couple of months now.
It
So
has been lifing, but, it's so funny how, even in the craziest time or the darkest time or whatever, I just kept telling myself, "You know what? At some point, I'm going to be on the other side, and I'm gonna look back, and that's just gonna be a season."
yeah.
And, it's true. It's all in how you frame it. It's all in how you look at it.
Yeah.
Anything, not just my situation, but any sort of, change or anything that we're going through. It's like, okay, this is not forever. Nothing
Yeah.
is, and I may be in that ebb and flow one way or the other.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's all going to settle out, and then there'll
Well,
be some other season we're walking through.
right.
So.
Exactly. It doesn't end. It doesn't end.
Mm-mm.
And to kind of to what you said, like it all it all finishes in terms of the good and the bad. Like nothing is permanent in
Mhm.
terms of our emotions and in terms of our experiences. That's like when we have something really good, it's like, oh my God, I just wish it could stay forever. Or like I'm
Right.
eating the best peanut butter and jelly sandwich ever in the world. And I'm just like, I love this. I want to feel this all the time. But
Yeah.
you eat your sandwich and then you're done and you move on with life. I'm
Right.
making it very simplistic
I know.
here.
Yeah, but no, I get it. Yeah.
But, just like that, I have found myself at times where I've been like, I can't breathe. Like, how am I going to function in the next 5 minutes? I've got so like my brain is just on overdrive, or
Mhm.
I just got 10 different calls in the last 5 minutes that are overwhelmingly hard to attend to and take care of.
Mhm.
All of that stuff comes to a fruition. It comes to a conclusion.
Mhm.
So if we look at it as being not good, not bad, but just it is, then we can allow ourselves to again just kind of step off the hook
Yeah.
of being so critical about how we're processing, how we're living, how we're dealing, how we're reacting, how we're not reacting, and just know that this too will pass,
Mhm.
good and bad, and we
Yeah.
can we can do it. We can do
Yeah.
it.
And then you can get out and ground when you're feeling overwhelmed, or you can leave a Post-it note for somebody when you need to think about somebody else besides yourself. And,
Mhm.
I mean, those are all good things
Amen, sister.
because life is
Yay.
life no matter what. Oh my gosh.
Ah, totally, totally.
We
Oh,
don't get a choice,
correct.
right?
Correct. Correct. Oh, my friend, I have loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it so much. Thank you
Yes, me
so much
too. Me
for
too.
being part of
Thank
it.
you for having me be a part of it. That's so fun. And I'm really looking forward to our parenting segment. That'll be so
Can't
fun.
wait. I can't wait. Look for it to come out in probably about a month or so. That's the timeline that we're getting ready to get the recording going. So,
Yes.
yay, Dixie will be back. Yes, I can't wait, and we will release all of the tidbits about parenthood. So that's to look forward to in your number 3. But until next time, everybody has a story. Every story matters. We need to go out and make our stories count because you matter and you are enough, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. For sure.
All right. Love you, girl.
All right. Love you.